joining after the session starts.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
We will start on time.
Good morning, everyone. I, Sabir Mujawar, welcome you all on the 7th day of our 7 days workshop, which is on research methodology. It's 28th May. We have started the journey on 21st, and today we have completed our 7th day. So for today, we are going to conduct a session on bibliography. To conduct this session, we have with us Dr. Smita Jape. I, Sabir Mujawar, it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Smita Jape. She is an academician and a distinguished associate professor with a remarkable journey of 25 years in the field of education. Ma'am holds a PhD in financial management from Nagpur University, complemented by an impressive array of qualification, including an MPhil in cost accounting, an MBA with a specialization in finance, and an MCom, all obtained with first-class distinctions. Her professional includes not only academia, but also significant corporate experience spanning 8 years. Ma'am, commitment to academic excellence is evident in her extensive research contribution. Ma'am has published 25 research papers in the reputed journals and presented 11 plus national conference and international conference research papers. She has also authored notable books and received prestigious awards such as the Best Professor in Finance by Devang Mehta National Education Awards. Dr. Jape's dedication extends beyond the confines of collaborations, including conducting management development programs, that is MDP, for various organizations. In short, if I say, ma'am's academic excellence, research prowess, and commitment to advancing in the field of finance and management education is excellent. I would request Vidya ma'am to welcome ma'am.
Please start.
Ma'am, you are on mute mode.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this opportunity. Thank you. I will try to give my best. Thank you so much.
I'm sure. Please start, Smita.
Yes. I'll just share the presentation and then.
Yes, ma'am. The slide is visible to us, ma'am.
Yeah. So good morning, one and all. I hope I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so good morning, one and all. Yeah, it's nice to connect with you all in this regard. Of course, I am happy to hear that yes, there was a long FDP which was conducted, and you started from the journey with the basics of research and then completing today with the last part of the research work, that is bibliography, citation. And of course, we are going to touch upon the ethics. So let's try to understand what are the few objectives of this session, which we would like to complete it within 2 hours. And then, of course, session of half an hour for your questions and our discussions. So I have designed the entire presentation by considering that make audience to understand the importance of bibliographic and citation, and of course, what is its need, trying to understand the difference between the bibliography and citation, as well as referencing, in what way these are different. So basically understanding the importance of impact factor and citation in research, that will be our third objectives. Fourth one is understanding the role of ethical code of conduct and importance of research papers in publication. Again, that is also very essential part of any research. And of course, the last objective will be let's try to understand something about the databases and how to find the right journal for the research work, and what are the important, you can say, the databases which can be made use of for writing the research paper or for writing the thesis or maybe any of the research work. So with this objective, let's proceed with the common content which is essential for any research paper as well as for any for any of the research work, which has to have what we call it as a title, has to have an abstract. There is a need of keywords, introduction, methods, results, discussions, managerial implications, societal implications, and of course ending with the references and in the bibliography. Now let's try to understand when we are saying what is referencing, what is bibliography, and how different are these. Let's try to understand and put it, or let's try to make it simple also. So when we are referring, as the name itself suggests, that this is something which we are referring it in our research work, any work which is being carried out. It can be maybe any data, any of the research findings, or maybe any of the work which is being carried out, any information, any of this data or which is being used by somebody else, and then you are going to use it for your own research work. So if you are going to make use of that that particular information, data, or the findings of someone else or some other source from some other source, then naturally making a mention of it in your research is very essential. And hence, when we are talking about referencing, it is an important aspect for all the academicians, because basically it will try to demonstrate that you are ethically giving that kind of a acknowledgement rather to the person whose material or the data which you are going to use it, or which you have already used it. So it is a practice of basically acknowledging the source of information which is used in your research work. In simple language, it is an acknowledgement. But why is it essential and what way it is different, that we will study further. So while conducting the research, writers, they often need to refer some of the books, articles, websites. And now, as you understand, that it's not only that the you refer it's only about the research papers, but there can also be some of the books, there can be also some of the videos, sometimes even there can be some of the websites which you are going to make. So material finding solutions, and then how far these sources those are authentic also. That is again important, because when you are going to refer it for your research work, again an authentic source of information is also essential in this regard. So then why this referencing is essential? So basically, first point is you have to give credit to the original authors. Somebody has done some work and you have to give credit to the work because you are using it. So I would say that it's a basic mannerism, it's basic gesture which you are showing it towards somebody else whose work which you are quoting it, whose work you are using it in your research work, or maybe you are considering it and further you are developing it on your the research or further on that same maybe phenomenon. So it can be something it can be referred at any stage. I mean, not necessary that for maybe there's the finding the gap, and hence that the literature review is being carried out and you need some research papers, and therefore you are going to make use of those research papers here in your research for writing your research. But also at the same time, nowadays, more or less, if the quality journals, specifically Scopus Index journals, ABTC journals, or overall the the quality perspective, when it is considered, they always try to give more focus even in the introduction part, where you are trying to justify or where you are trying to give the rationale behind the research work which you would like to take up. I mean, this is essential that more and more references which you are going to have, the more research work which you are going to take it and which you are going to use it, then that will give more authenticity to the work which you are taking it or carrying it further. For example, as I have said, that maybe some of the gaps which you have identified, and then you are trying to develop a particular phenomenon. Now you may feel that this is what is a sentence which you would like to use it, but it will get more authentication. It will get more, you can say, the credibility from the perspective if there is already someone else who has proved that phenomenon, or who has already worked on it, who had used some statistical tools and proved that this is a phenomenon which you are saying is being already done, or it's being carried out by some other researchers in the past. So naturally, then this kind of an introduction will become more useful from the perspective of, as I have said, from the perspective of quality, from the perspective of credibility. It means that it's not only your views, it's not only your intellectual, or it's not only about you are saying this, it's also about the other authors who have also said something on that. Or maybe if there is some contradictory which you are trying to put up, then you may have to also go through some of the papers which have given the some positive views, and then some papers might have given some negative views. Then taking it further to understand and develop your own, maybe the research problem, research question, then you again will require lot of research work which is being carried out, and then you have to refer that this is a work which is being carried out by original authors, and then you are using it. So that is the first point, that giving credit to them is essential. Second, allowing verification and further exploration. See, if reader, or if any of the or as far as any other research authors, or if any other reader, he is or she is interested in going further, checking or finding that whether you have said something, you have mentioned something, but up to what extent this is also true, or is it no correct, up to what extent this is also no available, and then whether can be explored further. So those all can be possible provided you have given some those kind of a referencing in your no research, either in the thesis or in the research papers. Third one is avoiding the plagiarism. Of course, we are going to talk something more on that, but this is again important, because unless and until you will give the reference, and you without the reference, if you are going to make use of that particular data or research, or maybe models, or if variables which you are going to use it from somebody who has developed, maybe mediating variables, moderating variables, whatever, or dependent independent variables, but then if that kind of a referencing, if it is not given, if it is not mentioned in your research papers, giving it credit to that original author, then that can be considered as a plagiarized person, and then you will have to you will have to consider that how this plagiarized content can be reduced, because then journals, or maybe it will not be considered as a quality paper or the quality research work where you have not given the credit to the authors or the original writer. So avoiding plagiarism, we will talk about that in detail, that how to check which are the softwares which are useful for that. But then later on, the next point is regarding the demonstrating extensive research. I mean, again, in some of the journals, when the papers are written, or when it is being asked for the review, then that time again, whether the research which you have carried out, is it considering all the areas or all the research kind of a work which is being published in the previous years. So you will have to show it to the readers, or you will have to show it to the reviewers, that the research work which you have carried out is considering all the previous research related to that particular theme, or related to that topic. And hence, some of the, as I have mentioned, that some of the journals, even they ask for maybe some of the data which you have collected to understand how far is it authentic, or maybe some of the quality reviewers, they may also ask about from where the data has come. So that becomes important for you to make them understand that this is a work which you have carried out, and this is a rigorous work which and efforts which have gone behind that. This is very essential, that authenticity and the extent, the rigorous work which goes behind, or efforts which goes behind that particular research has to be seen by the reviewers, by the readers, and this is one way where you can demonstrate that. For example, here again I want to I want to just share with you that one of the research papers which I have myself and one of my colleagues we have written, and there we have quoted, of course, being it in the area of finance, we have referred some of the secondary data, and then of course the data was collected, data set that was collected from RBI website, and then later on we were trying to understand as some of the models which are DuPont is a very common model which is being used in finance. We wanted to see to it that whether it is applicable in the recent year during which we were trying to, I mean, this is now already 4 years back, rather 3 years back I am talking about. So the paper which was trying to understand that up to what extent that the the model which was taught or which was studied in the finance is relevant, or is it applicable in today's scenario also. So there, while doing that, we wanted a data set, and we wanted a huge data set to prove that yes, it is, because if your data set, if sample is sufficient enough, then you can have that confidence of giving your own findings and suggestions. So during that time, we have collected the data from the RBI website, and we have collected the data set of now 13,400 and some 36 companies is what we have mentioned it in our primary data. Of course, it was not a primary data, it was a secondary data, and hence the number was more. But then this paper got published in Scopus Index Journal, but during that time they have asked that the reviewer had given the comments, and then it was asked by one of the reviewers that from where the number of this 13,436 what you people have quoted in your research paper has come from. We would like to get details on that particular. Then we have tried to show that how, from which sectors, how many companies were selected, and then how many sectors we have chosen, and then we have from every sector, that was of 9 sectors I remember, and then from every sector how many companies and how the total. So we have provided the entire Excel sheet showing the detail that how this number has come from, where number, from which sectors, how many companies, and then how the financial data, of course, from income statement and balance sheet which was collected, that we have shown. And then trust me, that had created a different kind of an impression, and that had shown maybe that the extent to which we had put in efforts for giving some findings and giving our maybe suggestions or related to that model. And hence this is a good way that if you are trying to demonstrate the work which has gone behind it, then of course, and then we have given the references of all those years of RBI websites, and then the content which was given, that becomes essential, which proves that yes, the references of all those bulletins, RBI bulletins, and all those data which was collected, that also was provided. So that shows the in-depth work which you will carry out in your thesis or in your research. And the last point on that is following academic standards. Now, this is again that different academic disciplines and institutions, they have referencing styles, and hence it is essential also to follow those styles which are suggested by the or which are rather considered as an academic standards by that institute or by that organization, and hence understanding the different styles also and the way of writing also becomes essential. Moving to the further, that is about the citation. Now, when we are talking about the citations, this can appear in text citations, or these are the brief references which are given within the body of the paper. It can be given in some, again, it depends that whether the journal is asking for footnotes or endnotes, because it again, every journal will have, or as I have said, that the institutions will have ways of, which will be given as a guiding or as a instructions for a researcher, or maybe guidelines for the researchers for writing the work or for writing research work has to be followed. but then that has to be given and has to be part depending on the citation style being used. These citations are can be written or can be asked again in different formats. So I will show you again how to write, how to make use of it also from the papers, and then how to Google Scholar can also be used for the same, where you will get, unless and until if you have a standard research papers which have been used or quality papers, otherwise all those papers will be available on Google Scholar and good journals, and then you can definitely, by using that, you can convert it easily, or you can use the softwares also, or even your Word also document will have the ways of getting or writing the bibliography and this your citation. That also I'll show you. It is there. If possible, I will show directly, or maybe screenshots have already been taken so that you can also practice this at the later on. So depending on the citation styles, then maybe the more common one which are used are including the APA or MLA, that is American Psychological Association, or maybe Modern Language Association. So these are the styles which have been given. But of course, there can be many more. Maybe we can say there can be a Vancouver, there can be something which is essential from the Harvard. Then depending upon what is the requirements, then that can be fulfilled for the as per the requirements of journal or maybe of any of the organizations. So when the writer includes a citation in their work, they are essentially pointing readers to the exact source from which the information was obtained. This is typically done by mentioning the author's name, publication, year, and if applicable, then also page numbers. As I have said again, this is essential that it has to have in a proper format. And that is why they are into the APA or they are into MLA or maybe Harvard or style, because that is the way they are expecting. That has to be uniform, that whether the author's name has to be first or whether the year has to be first, the name of journal, that also I will show you on the next slide. Now, citation in the context of academic or scholarly writing refers actually to the act of providing a reference or acknowledgement within the text to indicate the source of specific information, ideas, or quotes which are used in the paper. So citations are used to give again credit to the original authors or creators of information which is being used, and allow the readers to locate the full reference in the bibliography or the reference list. Now it is very essential that when you are going to give the citations for or you are going to use the citation, then it is essential that if you have given a citation of a particular, say, author, then the detail about this author whose work or whose research findings which you are going to use it, that has to be mentioned at the end of the research papers in the references. If there is a mismatch between either the authors, those you have cited for writing or for that of the, for any phenomenon or for any of the findings, then the there then has to be there in the references. So there should not be mismatch in the sense that as there are more citations and then it is missing in the list of references. Or it should not happen that you are just taking the references from someone else's papers and you have not given the citation of that particular author, but there is a mention of a reference in that paper. So mismatch should not be there, and hence it is essential for you to check it. And therefore, if you will develop it properly, then this mismatch definitely will not occur. So importance, let's try to understand that what is the importance of citation. So the first is, as I was mentioning, that is making your research more credible. Instead of saying I feel this, or instead of saying that your intelligence, your knowledge says, your experience says something, it is always creditable to add something more from the other research work which is being carried out by the other authors or in the previous years, and then if adding that will give more credibility to your research work. Second, it tells reader where you found the information and data.
Coffee बना रहे हो क्या?
Sincerely apologize, ma'am.
No,
One of the
that's fine.
participants had by mistakenly kept her mic on.
Yes, I understand. So the second is it tells the reader where you found the information and data. See, for example, if I am going through the the research paper which you have read it, which you have written it, and if I am reading it and I feel that this is what is something which is interesting for me, I do want to understand something more than related to that. Say you have used some, maybe you have used say 6 to 7 say. Independent variables, or maybe you have used some 2 or 3 mediating moderating variables, and now for these I am also interested to understand, or even I do want to understand the role of these mediating or moderating variables which you have used it in your model which you have developed for your research work. Then naturally in that case definitely the citations which are given of the author, and then the detail, maybe the research which is carried out by that particular author, I can go to that paper also which you have cited in your research work. So I can get to read not only your work, I will also get to read, and I will also I will be able to go to the that particular author's also work, and then we'll get more detail, maybe the findings or more detail, say information regarding the variables also. So that is again the second important point here I am trying to emphasize on. The third is allows the reader to learn something more. Of course, this goes on the same line. And the fourth is credit to people whose words, ideas, research you are using. Again, that it's not only that the citations are going to have credibility to your research work, but it also going to give credit to the people whose ideas and research work or your findings which you are going to use it for your research work, or maybe you are going to develop your model based on the previous model which is already being used. Somebody else has used a model, and then you are trying to add some more variables or intermediating or mediating variables into that. Then naturally you have to give credit to the person who had used this model. Or maybe somebody has done a literature review in a say pharma sector, and this was helpful for you because you want to do something in more in detail in that regard, and therefore you already have got enough of findings which have been done in the pharma sector previously by another research authors. So you want to give now credit to the insights which was given to you by that author or by that particular research paper which is being published related to that in the previous years. So these are the these are all important points as far as the citation is considered. Now we are coming, and then of course as we will understand, and then I will make you clear through actually how to develop these also. But let's try to understand now when we are talking about referencing and citation, how different is this bibliography now from the perspective of what we have said, the citation and referencing. See now the first thing which you need to understand is when we are saying about the referencing. So in the list of references, if you have given all the name of all the authors and journals whose work which you have been used, and therefore in your paper also you have mentioned and given the citation as maybe the Harvard says, or maybe as per the author Stephens said, or Stephens have investigated this, or maybe the theory was well developed and established by Mr. Or by that author's name, first name. So you, and then in bracket you will write the year. So these are the citation which you are going to use it, but then this is, and then the reference of it will be given in the footnote or maybe as per the requirements of that journal in the format which is essential, and maybe in the end of the research papers. But then how far is then the bibliography? Now bibliography is something different in the sense that it is a detailed list rather than just the reference list. This is more detailed list of all the sources which you have consulted, and cited in research paper or project. So it's not only what you have referred or you have mentioned or you have used. It is something more, because as you understand that for developing my own insights related to a particular topic, I may read something more and more. I may read some articles. I may read some, even I may read some newspapers. I may no, read or write, or I may refer any articles, or even I may watch some of the maybe good videos also related to the context. So these all are the sources which you have consulted, but you have not made use of it actually in your paper, because these are not one which are as such proved, or which are actually have given the and followed the research methodology and has come up with conclusions. It is not so. So therefore, when we are saying about the referencing, it is something which is already proved by someone else, maybe by using some of the research methodology, by using some of the statistical tools, techniques, and then we are taking the that particular citation, we are referring that particular author in our, and we are referring it in our paper. But when we are talking about bibliographies, this is something more detailed. This is something which we are not directly using it, but maybe for developing our insights, for developing maybe our own understanding related to the topic, we are reading more and more detail, maybe some more, as I have said, maybe more articles, more maybe newspapers. So there can be many sources which you have consulted. So those all will cover and under the meaning of bibliography. So bibliography structure always includes, of course, again, citing the author's names, title of the work, year of publication, publisher for each source one consults for a paper or project. Now, it can also include some of the list of books and other material that you might have used in preparing a research papers. Now, why this bibliography? And sometimes these lists will include even the works that you consulted, but you had not cite specifically in your assignment. I am sure that you should be able to understand regarding the bibliography, which need not necessarily required to be referred in the form of citation in the research papers. It can be only giving it as a credit that yes, you have used it, you might have consulted it, you might have read it somewhere, and therefore you just want to give it a credit to that particular source, credit to that book, credit to the paper, newspaper, credit to the article which you have read or written by any article, written by any of the news person, or news editor also. So then that is not which is statistically proved and which is not being covered. So then in that case, if citation is not being given, there won't be any references, but then that will cover under what we call it as a bibliography. So you can write a bibliography mentioning that whatever the material or source which you have been used it, but then when you are referring it as a citation, then it means that this author has already, or some of these authors, those have already done a research, they have carried out a systematic process, and then accordingly, then you have made use of this in your research paper. You have used either the variables, you have used either the findings, you have used either the step models, you have made use of any of the phenomenon which has been proved. So something which you are referring it in your own paper, then that will cover under the references. Whereas bibliography will have all the detailed list of sources which you have used maybe for developing your own intellectual, for getting more insights, for understanding in depth and getting more in-depth knowledge about that particular topic. So there are three now common kinds of bibliography, each serving different purpose and then focusing on different aspects of research and scholarship. So under that, there are three ways or that is being considered or written. One is analytical, second is narrative, and third is annotated. So usually the common elements which are to be covered in bibliographic, of course, include the author, title of document, year of publication, then place of publication if possible, not always, but then if available, then edition, then the volume, issue, part number, and then the series. And of course, sometimes even the page numbers become essential, because that will give again as more authenticity, and if somebody wants to refer, then it becomes easier to also locate that particular work which is being carried out. So then let's try to understand that how it is written. It is a way that it is being written. So analytical bibliography basically, and when we try to understand, it is the study of books, and of course the way there will be styles in which way it is required to be written for the journals, for research papers, or even for that of the books. It can be for the web links also which are given, or for that of the mentioning about the audio video sources which are essential. So those also are required to be mentioned, or can be required to be given it in your at the end of the research papers, at the end of the thesis. So an annotated bibliography is study of books as a physical objects, like list of citations to book, articles and documents. So each citation is followed by a brief descriptive and evaluative paragraph, that is the annotation. The purpose of the annotation is to inform the reader of the relevance, accuracy and quality of the resources which you have cited in your thesis or in your paper. Now, analytical bibliography basically may deal with the history of printers, booksellers, with the description of paper or the bindings, or with maybe the textual matters arising during the progression from writer's manuscript or the published book. So it is the way that this is required to be made mention, so as to give more accuracy or relevance, or rather showing more relevance and the quality of resources which you have been used or which you have cited. So whereas when we are talking about the systematic or numerative bibliographic, then it is the preparation of list of books in short. So as the name against name or the title itself suggests, that it's in short, or it's a compilation of all the bibliographies which list, describe and arrange all the graphic materials according to their affinity with each other for reference or study. So basically that when we are talking about the systematic bibliography, again arranging it in a proper sequence and as and when compiling it, as and when it is referred, is very essential, because particularly when you write the thesis, then at the end when you actually sit for writing the thesis, there is a long gap between the LR maybe, which when you have conducted, the topic when you have decided. So maybe there is a gap of say sometimes maybe 2 years, or sometimes maybe of more than that, also 3 years, depending upon what is the speed with which you are working on your thesis or working on your research work. But then there is a big gap, and hence once you decide the topic and then you start your literature review, and for again instead of deciding the topic, I'll say it can be the other ways also, because for identifying or for understanding the gap you have to do the literature review, and therefore when you start doing that, and then actually when you will sit for writing, there is a big gap, and sometimes you, unless and until you will compile it, you will develop it properly, then you actually when you will sit for writing, it will be difficult for you to recall. Actually it's impossible to recall everything what you have referred, everything what you have maybe considered, or whatever you have actually used it also. So therefore it is always better to do it as and when you have started. So you should start in parallel, rather I'll say that when you will start referring it, you should start developing on your bibliography, you should start developing on your also the references, because that will always help you to avoid the this kind of you can say not remembering some of the journals which, or some of the authors' work, and then you have quoted somewhere, and then you have made use of it, and now you don't remember from which journal you have taken, which paper you have referred. Now it's difficult for you to get it, and when you actually will sit for writing the thesis. So when you will write the thesis, and then actually when you will carry out the literature review, there is a big gap, and hence it is always suggested that when you will start your LR, that time itself start developing in parallel your bibliography, or you start developing your even the references. And then how to do that also I will show you. It is very easy, but then you should also start doing it as and when it is the work is being started, because later on it becomes essential. Later on you chances are there that you may forget it also. Then the next one is talking about the as there are MLA and APA formats, because each one will as I have mentioned that maybe the journals will have its format, the organizations will have guidelines, and therefore it is essential to understand the difference, and then accordingly developing the references or developing the bibliographies accordingly is again to be the important points, which is essential, because the sources from where you have to from where you have already collected the data, the source from where the research paper, the source from where you have collected maybe the some of the findings, that all is essential while analyzing and evaluating your also the data which you have collected, and then you want to you are maybe then later on writing even the description part or your discussion part, and then going to prove it to it that how this discussion during that time some of the authors were were having the findings on the same lines, and some authors may not have the findings on the same line. So during that time, again putting up at the during the discussion or even during the ending last part also, this all becomes essential. So I will show you. So these are the bibliographies that include the concise explanation or annotation of each listed source. Depending on the assignment, this annotation may be solely descriptive or analytical. So it depends. Again, it's a style that which is expected. Is it expecting a descriptive style, or is it an analytical style, and what it is and how it is to be written? So annotations versus abstract. Now again, see, if somebody is annotate bibliography, it means that you are expected to give no more authenticity with writing something more than just giving only the particular reference. It is something more which you are writing, but that does not mean it is similar to abstract. Here it is expected in more detail, but then it is not like an abstract. So one has to understand that annotations and abstract both are different in their substance as well as the way that these are written, or the place where it is written. So annotations usually will found in the bibliographies at the end of the paper. Whereas, and of course, these are subjective, and then the purpose is to summarize and evaluate. But of course, the purpose of writing the annotations is again to summarize or to write it in short. But then, of course, it is not like an abstract. So one should not get confused within these two. So when the annotations are written, that something more is expected, which no more kind of a explanation is expected, of course, but it should not be too lengthy. It should be a concise one. So therefore, a concise explanation is a proper wordings, I will say, which will include or which will give the meaning of annotation for that of the source. So the concise explanation is essential, not a detailed one, but then the explanation is essential, which is which will give more credibility to the work, and maybe the explanation also to the phenomenon or to the work which is being used there. So the purpose is, of course, to summarize and evaluate, but it should briefly communicate it. Briefly should communicate the main point which you would like to discuss. So the background of the author's study, the strength, weakness of the work. So something more than just the name of journal, something more than just the name of the author. Here you are trying to add something more which will communicate, because you feel that this is essential also to be communicated along with just the name of the authors. So therefore then that is again depending upon the requirements of that journal, depending upon the requirements of that of the particular organization in the guidelines. If they have made a mention about it, then that has to be also followed. Whereas when we compare it with abstract, of course, it is usually this is objective, and the purpose of abstract is to summarize. So a purpose of both annotated and abstract is to summarize. But the abstract is that way is no overview of the entire article and what do you want to communicate about the entire research work which is being carried out in short, in a precise manner. So if you would like to learn the difference, then of course, as I have told you that I have taken some of the screenshots which will make you understand about this, and even the in columns also I have taken it to clarify on this citation and reference, and of course then further on the abstract and also on the abstract against the annotated, also annotated if required bibliographies in that format. So now again coming back to the first part, citation and reference. So how different it is. This will give you an overview of what we had discussed till now in the first part. So meaning, citation is a way of disclosing within the main body that the quote, image, chart, statistics, etc., which are taken from outside source. So you are citing it, you are giving the citation of that particular author. Whereas reference is a list which contains all the sources which have been sought or cited while writing the article or assignment. So as far as the you can say the place where it is going to be placed, that the reference will be always at the end of that particular research paper, end of the thesis, whereas citation will be where you are actually, and it will always be used in the bracket, and as and where you are going to use that particular phenomenon, as and where you are going to use that particular model, as and where you are making use of some of the findings of the previous, there and there itself in the body of the context of that particular main paper, you have to give the citation with the name of that particular author whose work you are citing it, and then the details about that author along with the name of journals, along with all the other details, page number, and then the other volume issue, that all is required to be given at the end. So the use it informs the readers the basic source of information, and here it informs the reader the complete source of information. Here you are just wherever you are using a phenomenon in your research paper, you are mentioning that this is an author who has said this. So you are not giving detailed information here, but you are going to give the complete source of information in the references. The purpose is to indicate the source of the material taken. That is the purpose of citation. And of course, there are a lot of other important points which are to be considered, because citation becomes very essential, and this is as far as the research is considered, and well-known researchers, well-known authors, their work is getting identified, recognized only from the citations. And you will find it out, some of the good researchers and some of the good authors also, they will not have the detailed CV like us today. But in the research, only the CV will consist of maybe only one page, where they will write about the citations, about the indexes, about the H index, or about I index, or about whatever the number of citations which they have obtained for all those. That becomes essential, and therefore that will be just that becomes essential for a research, or rather while writing the profile for a research work, that is the way it has to be developed, that how many papers, how many journals, how many books, and then of course the citation. That is only the one kind of one page profile of a researcher which is being written and developed that way for any research, for any good research work. So as I have said, to indicate the source of material which is being taken, you are going to give the name of that particular author in the site as a citation, that you are citing this author, that this is a phenomenon which you have said that is being used. So maybe you are giving the citation of that particular author, that who or if you are making use of a model, then whose model you have referred, the name of that author to be given under citation. Whereas if somebody wants to now support or wants to criticize on that particular point on the model or on variables or on maybe the findings, then that all will be given in the reference section, where you will have the details about all those journals, about that particular journal, about the page number, about volume issues. And the last is, of course, as already discussed, placement. In that regard, it is presented in the bracket in the body of the paper itself, whereas reference always will be presented at the end of the document or at the end of the research papers. Now, referencing style, one of the most common, as I have mentioned, that there are various referencing styles such as APA, American Psychological Association, or MLA, Chicago, Harvard, and Vancouver also, and many more. But each style has its own specific format and guidelines for citing the different types of sources, including the books, journals, websites, interviews, and many more. So these styles indicate how to present the author's name, publication, year, title, publisher, page numbers, and all the other details in a consistent and in a standardized manner. Now, APA style, as well as I have mentioned, Harvard style, Chicago style, how it is to be written. So this is one which I have given. Suppose reference entry for a journal article. Now this is an APA style examples which I have shown on the screen. For example, as you can see, the name of the authors. Then again, if there are multiple authors, if some of the journals say if they are more than 5 authors or more than 4 authors, then you cannot no, in citation you can give those 3 authors, but then some of the journals will make a mention that ETL. So ETL is one that if there are multiple, more than 4, more than 5, then you can use this word while writing the ETL as mentioning that there are more or multiple authors for this particular phenomenon or for this particular findings which you have referred. So this is the name of Johnson and Smith. These are the authors whose paper or the work which you have used it, which you have referred it in your research paper, and the year of publication has to be in the bracket, and that is the style. That is the way it is expected when the journals or when the organizations give the guidelines of writing a research work, research paper, or developing a thesis in that APA style. Then year, then the impact of technology, that is again the title which is essential, required to be given, then that research paper, title of that research paper, and then the name of the journal from where this paper is being which is being referred, and of course then the volume, issue, and then these are the page numbers. So this is a typical way of writing or developing or the reference in a APA style. Similarly, if there is a book, then again it is expected that when APA style always will ask for the name of author, and in the bracket if you see the year, then you have to understand this is an APA style, whether it's about a book or whether it is about any of the reference entries for a thesis, dissertations, then you need to follow if it is expected to follow the APA guideline, then this is essential. So and then of course the name of paper, the journal, then depending upon the publisher, then you have to make a mention about it. In the book also, the name of the book, and then the publisher, press. Again, similarly, there is effect of cooperative learning on mathematical achievements in elementary schools, doctoral dissertation, which you have referred. There are also chances that you may refer any of the previous thesis also, which was related or to the topic which you have chosen. And then if you have, or maybe for some variables you have read it, or maybe some of the research you can say the methodologies which have been chosen, or maybe say even the statistical tools which have given some findings, and you may either use some statistical findings, or you might have used and develop something based on the findings, statistical findings, or statistical tool which is being used by any of the research paper. Then that also can be taken from some of the dissertations, from some of the thesis, and then making a mention in the reference is essential if it is asked in the APA style, that the name of this author, name of the publisher, name of the person whose dissertation which you have been used, or the name of author here in this case, or name of researchers in this case, with the year of the publication, in which year it was published. Because again, this is important. Once your references are checked, then it is always a clear indication from the AP style. Then the years have been mentioned, so that will give the clear indication that whether you have given or referred all the research work which is being carried out only in the recent years, or you have referred even the old, or you have not referred any recent papers. You have referred only the old research work which is being carried out. So maybe then the reviewer will find from the references that it is being covered only till 2018. But now if we are in 2024, how about the research work which is being carried out from 2019 to 2023? So in last 5 years. So there is again a need, and that can be understood immediately from the references and from the citations, that which authors and when his work is being published, which you have referred and which you have made use of in your particular thesis or in your research paper. So this is again important, that in references it has to show an exhaustive list with all the years. No, it's not only of a recent, but if it is done, then if you are doing it in 24, then at least 20. But many times in thesis, it so happens that we start our writing a thesis, rather we start working on that maybe 3 years back, and then by the time our actual thesis is written and it gets actually published, then there is again 3-4 years gap. But at least you should be able to prove that, okay, you have started, say maybe you have started in 2018 itself, or maybe you have started in 2019 and 2020, then at least till that year you have covered all the research work which is being carried out till that particular year. It should not happen that you will miss out anything, and then your reference section shows only till 2015, and you will miss out again 2-3 years in that particular, from 15 to 18, if you are submitting it, or you have started writing it in 19 and submitting it in 20, say 23, 24. So that also is important perspective which is to be taken care of. Now this is actually the screenshot which I have taken. So it can be developed in in simple manner, in the Word format, can be developed in the Excel also, but I have just shown here which is the most simple one, that is developing it in the Word format. So if you go to the Word format, you will find out in the here as a references, and then once you click on the references here in the Word format itself, under that reference or references, you will find out, then on the right side you will find that there will be right click, you will find that insert citations, then there are citations and bibliography, and once you will click on bibliography, then drop down you will find that again there are various styles which have been covered over here, which are APA style. Whichever style is required, you can choose it from here, and then here if you want to say insert some of the citations, and if you want to insert the bibliography. So as I have mentioned that when you will start writing your paper, that time itself start doing this in one of the Word format, so that then copy becomes easier when your thesis will be ready. But create that immediately in parallel when you are doing this work. For example, while writing introduction or while writing your literature review, now you are already, you have done some literature review maybe of say 20 to 25 papers. Now these 20-25 papers, the name of journals, the authors, then recollecting and then remembering all this, when you will start writing the thesis will become difficult, and hence it is always better start doing it in parallel. So create a Word doc, and then here once you create the Word doc, then go to the reference. Again here you in the references, and then right side you will find that insert the citations. So you can click on that. Then there is also bibliography, and then there are also the styles, which style is asked by the journal, that also can be chosen. So it is it will take hardly say a few seconds to develop that kind of a citation, and accordingly the references also for the same citations in your research paper. So if you are creating that Word doc, for example, here I have shown you as a screenshot where I was trying. Now if I want to insert the citation, so here you will click on this insert citation, because this is a suppose of this is a kind of a now this word I have suppose this is a word is chosen computer. You may have something maybe you have written one variable, or you might have written one sentence over here which was taken from someone else research paper. Now this, or maybe you have chosen some of the already proved as a finding of the research papers you have written over here. Then select that, and then there itself you choose that here this particular place, and then insert the citations. Click on insert the citation, and then this particularly once you click, then you will get something like this. Under that you will get add new source. Now first, instead of, because once you start writing, then your automatically different sources will get added into your own format, which for your text or for that particular paper which you have, or the word format or doc which you have created. But in the beginning, if there is nothing, then you will have to add a new source. Now if this is for a computer, or this is what, as I have said, maybe this is a computer, or there is some findings which you have written here. Now for this finding, you are going in insert citation, click here, and then add new source, because you have not added anything, and hence you will have to add this source from where these findings have come. Okay, so you have written once, I have just taken one word, but you have choose that particularly the sentence which is being completed and taken from the other researchers. Then once you do this add new source, then you will have this window which will come out of once you will say new source. So in that create new source, under that you will get this drop down, and there now you will have to give the details about this. So once it is developed, then it will be useful for you for your thesis later on, once your thesis will be ready. So while creating the source, it is expected now that you will give the detail, that type of source, that whether you the findings which you have chosen, the computer word which I have written, for example, there, then whether this has taken from a particular book, or is it from a journal, or that has to be chosen from this side, from the type of source from where it has been chosen. Then here author name, so you will write the name of the author or whose work you have referred it over here. So the citation, if same which is being given over here of that particular, has to be created, but you are not creating it naturally. You have just used the sentence of that research from his research work. So you are now creating a citation. So type of source you will write, or whether it is taken from this sentence, these words, this phenomenon has been taken from a book, journal, that is to be mentioned. Then the name of that particular author is to be written over here. Then title, year, city, that all details are essentially required to be added in the create source. In create source, you will have to give the details about it, and once you give the details, then you will, like this again I have shown that there can be the under book, or there can be a book section, journal in the word format, article in period, or maybe the conference proceeding and report. So these all will come down. You will have to just choose which one is there, because you may have the citation of a book, or you may have a citation from a journal article. You can choose it. And this is, for example, I have shown that I have written it as, maybe the book is, I have mentioned author, I have written it as Ravi Kumar. I have written that. Then this is the title, I have put it. Year I have put it as 2019. City I have added, and maybe some publisher also name I have added. So I have created this now source in my Word document, where I have written these all, where I have started writing, say suppose literature review. So on this text format, in a text format, in this file I have written the LR, and now I am going to create the citation for all these literature review which is being taken. So for that, now you have added this in the Word format itself. You have created the source, and then you will do, once you give all these details, you just have to put OK. And once you will put OK, then there will be again there will be some manage sources that also will have, and then some styles. So whether it will be, and then you will find that automatically that was given. So for example, once you will click here, Ravi Kumar is one which will get added. Ravi Kumar Computer 2019. So this is the author who author's name which we have added, and then this was the topic which was being taken from that particular researchers, and this is a year of his publication. So that automatically will get created through, and likewise. So once you will start, then this automatically will develop your own sources. Will get developed in your Word doc, where you are writing either your literature review or where you have started writing the introduction part, and you are making use of some of the findings or some of the phenomenon of the previous researchers. So these kind of a sources will automatically will get developed in your research doc. And then there is also managed sources, where you can go to the managed sources, and then you can also, if you want to make any changes, then that also is easily possible, where you will have a windows that you want to delete, you want to edit, you want to copy, that can be possible even over here. And hence this kind of a creation becomes very easier by using just a Word doc. If this will be developed, no, then even if there are 25, here I have just shown 20, here I have shown 2. So maybe there can be now your list will have 25, and then those will get added. And then once these all authors will get added into citations, automatically the references also will get created in your in your document or in your file which you have created for this LR. So that becomes essential. So if you will start doing it in parallel, that will do your job in a easier manner once you will start writing your thesis. But these are some of the citations for, as I was telling, that this is the citations which will get developed in your Word document will be of this type, that only the name of that particular author. This is what is a cited in year 17, which you have cited in his publication was of 20. This author's publication which you have used, that was of 2019, which you have cited, and grade 2019, which you have cited it in your research paper. So these have been developed, but now details about this will come will cover under the references, or if under bibliography, under references, depending upon the use or the usage of the particular author. So here, for example, as you can say that 17, the details about the name of the journal, this is a book, so naturally the publisher and the biology of the name of the book is being given over here. Similarly, here chapter is in edited book, if the chapter is in the form of authored, so there again the details of this book is being given. So all this, here the name of that paper, now the market in Plato's Republic, and name of journal, and along with issues, the page numbers, that is being given. So what you understand over here is that these citations which will get created by using this kind of even Word document, or which will hardly take, say, a few seconds. Once you are get used to it, you will have a repository of all those kind of citations from your literature review, from your introduction, wherever you are using it, and try to keep on adding, develop this, or rather I'll say prepare a separate Word document, and you will try adding it more and more. Once you will have something even related to you will start writing, say, research methodology. Now, if you are going to use, say, something about in the research methodology about some of the statistical tools, techniques, and if you are making, suppose you are using a factor analysis, okay, so whether any factor analysis has been carried out previously by, and if you have referred that, and you are going to make use of that in your also paper as just to explain something about the factor analysis, then naturally those will get added. So it is why I have said it is to be done in parallel, means during introduction you have developed, you have added, again when you are writing the literature review, again you will add over here. When you will go to the research methodology part, research design and statistical tools technique, again you will keep adding, so that by the end of the entire work which is being completed, particularly for thesis, So after 2 years, 3 years, this Word document will be ready with all the citations of the authors, those you have referred, with all those references also for that particular citation will be ready, which were used by you during your introduction part, during the literature review part, and even during the statistical analysis part. So that automatically will get added, and then there is a managed sources, so you can always manage the sources also accordingly, delete, addition, that can always be possible. So use that and try to do this work in parallel rather than waiting for the entire thesis to complete and then start writing. It is always better to have this kind of parallel work which is to become completed. I hope it is clear now that citations are written in this format, if whereas the bibliography means the detailed description about the work which is being carried out further. Now again, I have shown just in the simple text format how the sources can be added. But then, of course, there are good softwares which are also available for writing the references. So the some of these which are freely available. So free reference management softwares which are available freely, those I have given it. I will share the presentation so that later on you can make use of it as and when it is required. And the most common one is a Mendeley. Mendeley is most common one, and usually I'll say it's quite user friendly, and it is not different than what we have done it in the Word format also, in creating the sources, giving the information. But the advantage of Mendeley is there that you can have all your research papers which you have taken for the which you have referred for literature review, all those research papers which you have used it for your introduction, all those at one place. So it will not be that you are going to create every now and then like what I have shown it in the text format, but it will be in the Mendeley. It is the advantage is that in the software itself, all those will be available, and it will become easier for you to create that kind of a citation, and then writing the references for that same citation will become easier while once you will use the Mendeley or the other softwares also, which are even the EndNotes and all, which are common, which are the free reference softwares, which are helpful for you, because instead of spending more time or on this particular part that the citations have included or not, and then because a paper may have say 50, 60 or more than that also citations, and then whether in the reference section whether those have already been included or not, and then keeping a track. So instead of that, it's always easier and better to use these free softwares which are easily available and quite user friendly for developing. And if you do not wish to have software, then you can develop the either the Word document and then start doing in parallel the way I have suggested and showed you. And this is the way it will get created, as I have shown for example here. This is a citation. This is suppose a one-page introduction which is talking about the responsible leadership. But this paper is titled and is talking about some responsible leadership as a phenomenon, and then the previous work is being carried out. But here somebody has as for example that Yuki is someone as a researcher or an author, Yuki 2006. Now he had said that who sees leadership as a process in which certain individuals understand and influence what needs to be done and how to do it, as well as facilitate individual and collective efforts to accomplish shared objectives. So when I am talking about when I want to talk about the responsible leadership, then I do want to quote or I do want to cite the work which is being carried out in this way, which is talking about the a previous researcher who is talking about the leadership as a process. And I want to make use of these sentences which have been taken from his paper, from his research work. So I have cited him as Yuki's 2006. And of course, then naturally, what I will do it same in the Word format. I have created from this again in the create source. I have created, and then I have written in the author. I have written now Yuki, because this is what I want to create now. So Yuki is being created, and then I will add all the title, journal name, year, pages, and then I'll put it as a OK option. So here I have done it, maybe I have written it as it's a journal article. I have given the title Responsible Leadership Research, a bibliometric review which was carried out by that particular author which I have suggested, and then Journal of Management 2006, and then pages. So this is what all details I have entered into the create source on my text format, where I have written this entire paragraph. And once I'll use this OK, then automatically you will find that even the citation will be given, along with that the bibliography which will get developed. So here Yuki, this citation is being included, and then for these Yukis, immediately the bibliography which is created by the format itself after giving the information in the APA style. If I have chosen APA style, it will come in the APA style. If I have chosen whatever the style which I need, it will get created in the bibliography where I would want to include it as a resource of Yukis in that particular section. So that is the way one can go about how to create and how to, if there are many of the citations, then it is always better to have the parallel work of adding the new sources, adding the sources immediately, so as to have the clarity about the actual work which is being used for your research. So this, if there, again there are ways that if there is a single author, how to quote that. If there are multiple authors, as I have said, then every journal will give the guidelines that if there are multiple authors, then how to write it if there are single authors. So following these all styles of writing the citations, writing the references is essential, because otherwise you are not going to give either the credit if you are not mentioning, or maybe there it will be considered as a copy, or it may be considered and covered under the plagiarized content from your side if there are no references which are given, if no citations which are being used. And then examples are, again I have given that if it is of a online source website is being used, then again that the if it is APA style, I have shown it as APA style, but then it depends upon the style which is being asked. Again, the way of this presentation of will be different for that particular source. So author, again, then year, month, day of publication. So APA style usually asks for the name of authors and year first, and then later on the other details. So whether it's about thesis, whether it is about the example, whether it is about the source which is being used. There is another which I have shown it. If you go, as I was telling, that if you use the Google Scholar. So if you go to the Google Scholar, and if you want to find that, if you want to write, suppose my topic was dividend policy. Okay, I have written a research paper on dividend policy. So what I have done that I'll go to the Google Scholar, and now I have typed it over there in the Google Scholar as dividend policy. So then once I put that Google dividend policy, I'll put it as a search. Okay, now I got some list of all these papers which are related to this research paper on dividend policy. Now I remember that this is a paper which I have used. Suppose if I have used this paper, I remember that this is a paper which I have used. Now, of course, I want to cite this particular author for my research paper. Then here you can see that a tab is there, a small cite is one which is mentioned, cite, and then you can say the signs which are seen over here as a cite. Okay. Now, if I put or if I use this cite, then what will happen? Immediately you will get the cite. You will get the way of writing this or way of citing this particular paper of the author F. Allen and R. Michaely. For example, if I use this, then the right click, if you will do the right click on the site, then this kind of window will open. So now cite. This is a window which is open, cite, and here you can find that MLA is a style, APA style, Chicago, Harvard, Vancouver. So these are all the styles in which way that your citation can, and then accordingly the references can be built. So you can just, if you are developing directly, if you want for a research papers as a reference of this, copy it as it is. So this is again in a APA style. You will find that name of author first, and then the year, and then of course the title of that particular paper, and then the journal, and then the page number. So I will just copy it from here. So anyone can just immediately copy whichever style is being asked. If it is a API, copy this. If it is a Harvard style, copy this. So you can easily copy from that of the Google Scholar by using this particular site as a references. And then of course the other important that this is a paper. Now I have used it. Now I know that this is being cited by 426. So 426 papers have already cited Allen and Michael for his work or for his research work related or on the dividend policy. So I know that this citations is giving that credibility, is giving that important work which is being carried out by this particular author. Unless and until it is important that it is not going to be used by researchers or by other papers. And hence the number of citations which are mentioned over here, that will make me understand that which is more popular. Again, you can see over here that this is the fourth one. Now these are all the papers related to dividend policy, but fourth one is showing that there are citations which are obtained for this are 1,674. So 1,000 citations are obtained. So this is more popular seems, and this is more this is being used more by the researchers when the research is being carried out on the dividend policy and empirical analysis. So 1,674 papers or the research work which is being they have used this research which is being carried out by these authors in year of which is old, but then still this is a Taylor and Francis in 1968. But then these are the citations. Again, you have to also understand that whether this is a old one, but this is again the citations are more, but looks like it is in the published or it more in year long back in 68. So here you find that it has got a less maybe citations, but then you can also understand that though the citations are less, but the publication is of 2007. This is again citations 369 has published in 2010. So you can also find out the year in which year it is, because you have to also understand that your the period also is important when you are going to give the citations. Whether the recent the recent papers have been covered or not is important, because if you are giving the old citations and if there is a lot of work which is being already carried out later on, then your gap which you have identified through your literature review will not serve the purpose, and hence it is essential. So you can make even the use of say Google Scholar for just finding out the citations of the for that paper, and then how to cite it in different formats. That also you can just click on that and you can copy it directly from that from that style itself. So this is what it will come as an APA style. Okay, so before we proceed now to the second part of it, which is talking about the use of the software like the Turnitin, which I am showing it for the we are going to proceed towards the ethical use, and then we are going to proceed. But before that, let me just show you one of this paper, which is of course Is this paper visible, sir, now?
Yes, ma'am. The paper is completely visible.
Okay, okay. Now this is one of the paper. The title is Corporate Cultures and Financial Performance is one of the title of this paper, and the mediating role of the firm innovation. So this paper is trying to understand that how far the culture of any of the company is creating an influence on the financial performance of that particular company or organization. And here the researcher is trying to understand the mediating role of a firm innovation. So how far the innovation is going to play a role of a mediating variable in in the relationship of corporate culture and financial performance. So that is what is being research which is being carried out in this, and then it is being done in the paper. Now, as far as this paper is considered, I wanted to focus on the way that the every paper will have what we call it as the citations, and the way there is a need to also include what we call it as the citations in not only in the literature review but also in the introduction, where we are trying to even build the rationale of our study. We are trying to write about the particular topic which is being chosen for here. Example, for this particular paper, it is going to talk about the corporate culture. Now, as I want to start, or rather this paper is writing something about corporate culture, then he has given the citations of these two authors. Now, the work is being carried out in 2020 by these two authors, which is big. And there is a word is used as ETL. ETL is there are multiple authors. These are not only the two authors, or this is not only the authors, those are, but then there are say 5 to 6 authors, those they have written or those they have developed something related to corporate culture, and hence they have made use of that how these scholars have recognized that the cultural antecedents are important in driving the financial performance of the firms. So here, see the number of citations which are given. So you can see that in most of the papers which are published in Scopus or in ABDC journal, you will see that for almost, even in the introduction also, there will be 10 to 12 at least citations which are given. So you should understand the importance of giving the citations and using the work which is being carried out by the other researchers. Now, is it only essential just for the sake of adding it that you are going to add? No, it is an indication that you have read through you have read all those research papers, you have gone through entire literature which is being published by these authors which are related to corporate culture for this matter here. So it is an indication that you have, it's not only that you are referring, it is an indication that you have referred so many papers, you have referred and read something more about the corporate culture from these authors and from their papers. So that is why this is what is an indication that in the introduction where you are writing just, or you are just starting about the topic which you have taken it as understanding the importance of corporate culture on the financial performance, and of course with the then the other variables which are added also. But in the introduction you can see, then in the third paragraph again you find that the here Waterman and Peters define that organization culture is basically a complex set of values. Now how one has developed a process, one author is talking about a complex set of values and beliefs and symbols, then maybe somebody else is also talking about that how it helps to drive the financial performance. So then again there are different authors which are also cited here with the respective study which is being carried out in that particular year. So you can understand that the way that the studies which have carried out in the past related to the here related to the culture of the organization and culture of organization with the performance or with the financial performance of the company, that all is being taken here, and then based on that then there is a further what is called as this some of the issues which have been observed by this researcher, which he has shown or which he has taken over here in this format, that his research question one is, what is the relationship between cultural dimensions and financial? Are there equal contributors of power, distance and clan culture on financial? What are the roles of market culture and firm innovation on financial performance? Is the answer. So whatever the research questions which will arise in my mind after going through the research work which is being cited over here in the introduction paragraph, which are related to the just related to the organization culture, that is being noted and then later on, based on that, you have come to some of the research questions, and now you have developed some background related to that. So then you are giving a theoretical background, you are creating the literature review for that particular work. So this is a small, maybe a paper of 18 to 9. This is a paper of say 23 pages. But then you can understand the ways that the citation and the work is being used for just this kind of a research work. So theoretical background, again, you can find it out that so many citations which are given. Now, for example, this citation is mentioning that observe the impact of organizational culture and the value of profits in the firm. Another one is mentioning that conducted a survey from a senior executive from a broad range of US industries, and survey of say 400 vice presidents and R&D vice presidents was selected from the corporate tech directory of technology. So you basically, what is a theoretical background, how you are taking it further, what is the flow, in which way you are going to develop your phenomenon, your theory, your research questions, and then further how you are going to support it with the literature review which is being carried out from the different researchers or papers. That all is being given. Then again in that format, then further he, after adding, then he has created this conceptual framework which is being designed by him for his research work, that these, after going through all the research papers, these are the variables which for this dependent variable of financial performance, these are all the independent variables which have considered because of the conceptual theory which is being used from the researchers, from the research work which is being carried out. And then after developing this, then one is trying the model theoretical just conceptual framework which you have considered for your research work. And now you want to add something more, that is you are finding that innovation was not considered in all the research work which you have cited and all the references which you have done, but then there was nothing of innovation. So is there something which can be added as an intermediate variable? This is what you want to check it. Is it an intermediate? Is it going to be playing a role of a mediating or moderating? That also you will have to check it. But then you are theoretically, conceptually, you are developing a framework for your paper or for your research work in this way, that you would like to check not only the association between all these dependent variables and independent, but you also want to check the association of this particular mediating variable on this particular or financial or moderating, depending upon the results that will be indicated. So now again, as I have said that we will go back to the presentation. This was the paper which I thought will show you, which will indicate you the importance of introduction as well as at every stage. I mean, it is even in the, you can say even in the discussion section, there is a use of all the different citations, even in the given in the discussion sections, or in case of here again the mediating effect of innovation. So you think that this is a mediating, but then whether any of these, again one or two authors he could find whose work is being cited over here, Singh, and then again there is again another author in 7 and 19 who has also given a consideration to this particular innovation factor for understanding the association between the firm in maybe between the firm culture or company's culture and then the financial performance of company. So that is the way then the citations are used. Of course, the paper is quite interesting as it is published, but as I have said that it is important not only to have the citations, but also which will of course which will help in creating later on the references. Now these are all the references. So whatever the citations which are included there, that in the reference section you can see. Can you see the entire citation over here, which is being used, that is covered in the reference section. Now this is a reference, and you can again see in the APA style, and hence you will find the names are there with the names of authors with the year in the year of publication as a first part, and then all the other details about the journal topics and page numbers and all later on. And then it has to be arranged in alphabetically, but that also can be covered. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I received call, so it should not happen that from your side only you are calling, so I checked it. Okay, so we'll go back again to the presentation with the next part, that is going to talk about the plagiarism and about the databases, which are again an essential part of the research work. So after covering this, now I will take you to the presentation. Is this visible, sir, presentation?
Ma'am, you have joined through two devices.
Oh, oh, let me check. Let me check.
The presentation is visible. Ma'am, please try to speak something.
Hello,
Yes, now it is clear.
clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So now is this visible?
Yes, ma'am. The presentation is visible.
Okay. Yeah. See now, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Perfectly audible.
So see some of these softwares again I'm sharing with you, which are important as far as the plagiarism check is considered. What is plagiarism? Of course, as all of you do understand, just now we were talking about references, citations, bibliography, and its importance. So you have made use of some of the articles, some research papers, some of the findings of someone else, or maybe data from someone else, or maybe the models which have been used, someone else research. Now you are going to use it, but then you are not going to give any reference or citation of that work, then that will be covered as only what is your copy text from that particular, from whichever source. And that will be indicated by the software that this is what is a work which is being copied from this internet source, from this particular journal, this paper, from this thesis. So that kind of a copy which will be indicated as a plagiarized content, which you have taken as it is from someone else. So it is very important for you to understand that even when you are going to write a literature review, you have to develop it your own words. Try to write it in your own words so that the plagiarized content will not be shown as it is taken from the someone else research paper. Anyways, it's some models, some variables, some findings which you are going to use it from someone else. That is not what you have developed. But then while writing it, while reproducing it in your own paper or in your thesis, you try to put in your own words. Try to develop it in a kind of a format or in a, you can say, a story format, one after the other, like how it was in the previous years, in past, and then the present, or from talking about the present and then taking it backwards. Again, that will depend upon the requirements of the, but then has to be developed by yourself, to be written and used by yourself, not exactly copying and taking it as it is in the same words, lines. If it is done by you or if it is taken as it is, that will indicate that this is a plagiarized content. But of course, you may use some of the definitions. If you are going to use quotes, then put it into the inverted commas and mention it that these are the quotes. These are the um, these are the definitions which have been taken as it is. So that then of course the citation and references which are given, then automatically that will reduce or that will not cover the plagiarism content, or that will reduce the percentage of plagiarism. Okay, so the softwares which I have shown over here includes Turnitin, Grammar, Authenticate, Copyscape, Viper. These are all which are commonly used in academic, particularly, and maybe in some of the requirements of the journals or the papers also, which will have these kind of journals using the plagiarism. So once you will use it and check it and then submit it to the journal, then automatically that will not have a variation or deviation. What you have checked, the percentage of plagiarism content shown is say 20%, and then they have checked and found it was of 30%. That should not happen. So you making use of proper plagiarism software is again essential so as to find your own content which is being considered and shown as a plagiarized, and then reducing it. Reducing it is one of the options because you will know from the lines, from each line, from each word, that which is a, showing it is a plagiarized content in this software. And then you can rewrite those to your own words. For example, this is a Turnitin software. Now this is software which is used for plagiarism check. So I commonly use this. Many of the good journals also use this, and our college institute also we use the same software. So now here again require login for this password login. Once this is done, then you will have this window, something of this Turnitin, and which will indicate or which will show that there are 3 tabs here. Then if I want to check and if I want to submit the research paper which I have written, and I want to check how much content is a plagiarized this, then I will go to the quick submit this. And once I will put it as a quick submit, I will get a window something of this kind. So about this page now, customize your research. I will get 4 tabs under that, and in that window it will be asked search the internet. So am I using this option? Do I want to you check the plagiarism from the all the internal sources which are available? Then I will click over here. Second, search student papers. So do I want to check even the plagiarism content from the student papers also? Then I will click that also part. Third is search periodical journals and publications. Now this is important, so I will choose the third also. And the fourth is about asking the repository. And now this repository option can be chosen provided you are checking the plagiarism of that paper for the first time. if you are going to check the plagiarism of that paper again the second time, I mean first time if you got the plagiarism content of 40%, and now again you are using it because you have reduced that, and now you want to check how far is this reduced 40%, say 20%. Then in that case you will not this window that is of talking about the repository, because in that software already there is a repository once you have changed your own paper. So that paper is already there in that repository. So it's better not to choose that repository, but to choose all the other options to find it out whether there is any plagiarized content from internet sources, student papers, or from the journals, periodicals. Once this is been done, then there is a window which will ask for the paper which you are selecting. Then you have to upload the paper which you want, for which you want to check the plagiarism. Now, once I upload the paper, this paper will get uploaded like this. Now, once I will upload the paper and I will just click over here, submit, then automatically we will get a receipt of this, which will say your submission is complete. And this is your digital receipt. You can print a copy of this receipt within the document viewer. Because as some of the research projects, some of research papers, or even some thesis, where the organizations will ask for the plagiarism. So you can also have the plagiarism report by checking it from this or by using any of the softwares which I have shown. For example, here, this is a repository of my own papers which I have checked it on the by using this software. Maybe somewhere I have found this is a result which I will obtain. So for my paper, which I had a case I had written on Satyam, I got a 5% of similarity. For logistics IoT, that there was 11%. There was a paper on global markets, like 16%, and likewise. Now here I know that these are the papers, articles which are showing more plagiarized content, about 20%. Then it is better for all my papers to get the report, which I will do it by just clicking on this. And once I get the report, it will be shown that how this 5% is distributed throughout the paper. From 1% comes from where, 2% comes from where, which are the sources from where I have used all that content while writing the case study on Satyam. And then this is the report which I will get it, which I will try to convert it in my own words. Whatever the lines which will be indicated in red will have to be rewritten rather in my own words. And that is what is expected after getting this kind of a plagiarism content. So you can use any software check. There are simple softwares also which are essential, particularly since which is common one is a small this one are all common, or doubly checker also, text. These are all black scan. These all are which will indicate the content which is plagiarized. Then accordingly, reports are generated that will be useful for submitting along with the research papers or with your projects, along with the research been carried out, to indicate that your work is your original work and it is just a copy paste. Okay? Ethical code of conduct. Now, with respect to the ethics and code of conduct, it is essential for a researcher to understand that it is not practice which is to be implemented or which is to be followed only and only when there is citation or references or bibliographies are to be created. It is also essential for a researcher that for every stage and for the entire research process, you need to follow the ethical practices, because ultimately you should be proud, you should be happy about the work which is being carried out. You should be proud to show somebody the thesis which you have written it by yourself, which is being developed by yourself. So for that purpose, then you have to follow all the ethical practices. Then you will not feel shy to produce it in front of anyone. Because I have seen that some of the researchers, they complete their PhD, but they are hesitant to show it or to any of the people, because, or rather share it also with the people, because then that is an indication that not enough of the work is being carried out, not that everything is being followed ethically. So therefore, from this beginning, in the entire research process, you need to follow all the ethical practices. So what is correct, what is true, what is justified, that is very essential. It's not required to be done from the perspective of legality concept, in the sense that somebody will sue my no particular if it is not being followed, my research work or something which follow practices which I have followed, not for that fear, but it is my no, it is my internal need required, and it is my integrity which I want to show it, and hence I have to be very honest and transparent as far as the research process is being carried out. Okay. So let's proceed with the ethical code of conduct. What we were talking about is the 1 minute. So what I was talking to you, that was regarding the entire research process. So whether the data which is being collected, so whether the data is actually collected, and the kind of sectors which have been used, or the kind of respondents which you have used, how many respondents to whom you have shared their questionnaire, and then actually how many respondents have responded to your questionnaire. So in that also, entire process of whether it is about the data collection or whether it is about the literature review which is being carried out. So being honest, no, and for following the rules, regulations is one part, and then being honest and doing something for my own integrity, for my own happiness and satisfaction, that is another part. And hence do it, follow it entirely for being proud later on about your thesis. And hence, whether it is about the collection of data, whether it is about the way that the entire thesis being written, or whether it is about the whatever the rules, regulations which are essential not to be violated from the journals or from that of the organization's perspective. So giving due respect to all that. If there are multiple authors, then giving again credit to them in that regard. While selecting the data also, or particularly in this, as I have mentioned in the research design, research methodology, this becomes more important, because while selecting the sample, while selecting the, deciding the population frame also, that somebody is whether is being biased, and in case if you are getting the responses which are showing some biasness, then what is that you are doing to reduce that biasness, and what kind of a methodology which you are using it, what type of a sampling techniques which you are using it for that purpose. Those are all also essential part when we are mentioning about the ethical code of conduct for carrying out the work. Similarly, when we are going to present with some findings, or when we are going to give our research as a conclusions from our research, then it is again essential to understand the well-being of society, because unless and until it is going to be useful for some stakeholders, whether it is for the company, for the society, for the administrators, or whether for the managers or company, or whether the academicians, for someone or other, this has to be beneficial. So are you going to give due importance also to those aspects when you are carrying out a research work is essential. And of course, not to violate the rules, regulations, from just because you are carrying out the research work, and hence you need to use some of the data which is not no, and violating some norms, then that is also against the practices of against the ethical practices and against the code of conduct, which is essential for a research work. There some of the research works are covered under minor, major, and then maybe you may get some funds, or there are sometimes multiple authors, then usage or of those resources or the funds which have been given, proper usage of the databases for which the management will, or college also, from the college also I always tell students that when there is a database which is being provided by the institute, then you have to give due even recognition and credit to the institute, because the databases have been provided which are otherwise are costly, which needs some subscription. So that also are all important aspects required to be covered regarding to the funds, or regarding the utilization of resources. Then of course about the data, as I have said, that data has to be authentic, has to be correct whenever, and that is the reason that the authentication, for which that the citation and references always plays an important role. You may give some data, but unless and until it has a source, unless and until it is as a citation, may not be relevant and may not give the authenticity. And hence it is always better to develop such practices of giving the authentication to the data, to the information which is being used. Maintaining the privacy is always important, because you may use the data of organization sometimes, and then maybe with your own terms, with your, or maybe because you are a researcher, they organizations, corporates, they may share some data, or maybe even at a personal level also, maybe the consumers may share some data. Then in that case, it is always essential to maintain the confidentiality of the and the privacy of that particular respondents. That is again important, and that has to be mentioned in the questionnaire which you will design, and there when you will share the instrument design, rather the instrument or the questionnaire, that time also making a mention of this is important. Then of course process which is required to be followed, and of course this is again unless and until you will present it somewhere, unless and until you will send it for papers for publication, you will not be able to get the opinion, views of any of the researchers or external persons. So it is always better that when you are going to write a thesis, don't wait for that thesis only to write, but prior to that you have to have at least the research papers which are required to be developed. So initially, if you have not worked on your statistical tools and techniques, start writing a bibliometric paper, which will also be helpful for you, because that will cover your literature review part, which is essential for your identifying the gaps and then for developing the entire conceptual framework for your research. So try to do that also. Then of course the groups or the respondents, what kind of respondents are there, and then maintaining the privacy, maintaining the correct information which you have collected from them is also essential. Okay, and then I think this I have already told about the stakeholders and its relevance, whether government, sponsors, clients, public, academic community, their rights and always need to be taken care of. What is not allowed or what they have said that is not to be done, then it is expected that researcher is not going to use it in that way. So following the norms are also again essential on every part. As I have written, the ethical editing may reduce the sample, no compromise with research design, data not to support the personal corporate views. These all will come as the not the unethical practices maybe which are followed. It is essential to give importance to the points, that is integrity, honesty, take the consent in case if you are using any data, because particularly if any research papers is using some of the data of any corporate, then they are, yes, time is getting over.
Last half an hour for question answers.
Yes, ma'am, sure. They're all the related, and now this is only the databases. I'll share the presentation. You will get to know about all these important research databases which are essential. I'll just show this and then I will take the questions. So why
Yes,
use
ma'am.
different databases for research? Because of course, the databases will give the authenticity about the correctness of the data which is being used. So when I am mentioning that it is a data from RBI, whether it is a database of the data from the Scopus Index journals, or whether it is from Web of Science, JSTOR, Science Direct, these are all the one which are proven and which are the authentic data which will be provided for our research work. So depending upon what kind of research topics you have and the data which you are going to require, you can use this different data bases which are quite authentic and which are very useful for any researchers. So as I have said that these are common EBSCO journals, these are all in the academics. And this is the last slide here. I have given the list of some of the ABDC and Scopus Index journals. The list is being covered, which will help you to understand the quality papers which have been published in those journals. You can go through and then can find about details in way that the paper or any of the research work is being developed and is to be. So that's all from my side. Thank you. Thank you one and all. Now I think I'll take up some questions as this is a slot given for questions. So I
Yes,
request
ma'am.
participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions.
Okay, ma'am. So moving on to the question part. The first question, which has been asked by CA Oral, the question is, in the PhD thesis, we include reference or bibliography. Can you please elaborate on moderate, intermediate, and mediating variable? Uh, Oral, sir, please enable your camera and mic.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, ma'am. Your session was really nice. I am happy to reconnect with you. I have been your CAGMC student as well, Jape, ma'am.
Is it? Oh, good to
Yes.
know. Yeah, good to know. Good to know.
So, ma'am, I got the clarity that reference is like little bit short and bibliography is much in detail. But in PhD thesis, the word we use is bibliography or references at the end.
See,
This is my
as I
first.
have told, yeah. Anything else you would like to add?
Yes. So, secondly, like the pattern of presenting it means sometimes at the end of each page all references are mentioned, and sometimes just at the end of the research paper or thesis everything is mentioned, like not each and every page, because each and every page sometimes it feels like it is getting cluttered, like more than the content the references is taking the place. Sometimes it happens like that, and everything has to be numbered like in short 1 2 3 4 like that. So that presentation I was having a doubt. And then you
Yeah.
mentioned something about those variables part, so I could not connect that. And then actually the thing I wanted to ask is, say in a conference you have attended, say 2-day conference last year, it had happened in your college itself. So 2 days of content, say I noted 20-25 pages and that I wrote. So how will I cite that? I have just heard this in a conference, 20-25 pages of content, many eminent speakers came, they said many things about my say, research topic, and I quoted those in my research thesis. So from where will I get the bibliography for that? So these
Okay.
were few.
Yeah. I'll take one by one. I think the first question which you have mentioned, that was regarding the bibliography and references. Yeah. So and again you have made a second question related to that, whether it is to be put up at the end of every page. No, it is not required to be written at the end of every page. It has to be at the end of the entire research paper. But some of the journals, they ask for some footnotes, or sometimes some annotations are essential, but that is a specific requirement maybe of a particular journal. So if it is being mentioned and if it is being asked, then only you should do it at the end of that particular paper, the end of that particular page. Otherwise it is always a common practice to have it and write it at the end of the paper itself, at the end of the paper. So when you are going to write about the references, as I have mentioned that as far as you have given a title of references, means it is expected by the reviewer or by any of the researcher that when the references are given, each and every author which you have given it in the references, that author's name is being used in your research paper. Somewhere or the other you have cited it. That is, then only you can say that it is being referred, it is being added there as a citation. Whereas once you write a bibliography, then it is not essential that you have maybe some articles which you have used, something. Suppose from Mint you have read something, okay, and then on that Mint there was just one paragraph which was written, and then that was a that had all the details who had written, and then what is the paper on which date this was published, that all. But then at the end you have to include it maybe in the bibliography, because if you have not cited it or you have not given a reference of that in while writing, because see, usually citation and references has got more weightage from the perspective of the research which is being carried out and the statistical tools and techniques which are proved for those findings or for that purpose. And hence references, citations are always given more weightage, whereas bibliography is a detailed version. Some of the work which you may have referred it, which you may have read it, but you have not, while writing the entire work, while writing the entire thesis, you might not have written or you have not used that in the same way or by using that same author. So that is a basic difference between the citation and bibliography. So if it is a bibliography, you will not have to worry so much, but if you are mentioning it as a references, then because then a reviewer will definitely, I do remember that even I myself as a reviewer have checked and found that in some of the research papers, they may copy some of the references from somewhere, and then maybe that is being given in the end to show, because they expect that quality journal means a lot of references should be there. But it is not being added, and in the citation when the paper is being developed, then you will find a mismatch. That there are say 20 of the references which you have given, but in the paper while writing you have just cited the authors, maybe 10 authors you have cited. So there is a mismatch. So that is not correct. Then you will have to again face the or rather you will have to work on that again. So it's better that if you are writing it and adding it as a bibliography, then of course person will understand, or reviewer or maybe reader will understand that you have made use of it for your own purpose, for your either read it and then use it for developing something of your own from that insights. Okay. And the other question which you have asked, that was regarding the variables. So there are, as I have shown as an example, I have shown, but that was a paper from the Scopus Index Journal, and hence nowadays it's a quite common practice that particularly in management journal. See, when it comes to science journal, it is quite easy to perform the experiment and show the results, which is quite easier. Not easier, rather I may say that from the perspective of proving as an evidence, it is easier. Their experiments are quite difficult, I am not saying, but for a manager or for a management people like us, or maybe from the arts and humanities and all, it becomes difficult to prove that yes, this is something new, this is something which is not done by anybody else in the previous. That becomes quite challenging, and hence in that regard, if we are referring something and then giving citation, and then if we are going through a lot of other research papers and then proving that this is a gap, then that can be one of the way of showing that this is maybe unique, because 50 papers को पढ़ लिए अभी तक तो नहीं आया, but ऐसा नहीं है कि और कोई again कोई 1000 papers में जाएंगे तो हो भी सकता है, लेकिन we at least can justify that okay, at least 50 research papers I have gone through which were related and with all the good citation work which was carried out. And I think with respect to the what you have mentioned about the variables, nowadays it's a practice that dependent variable, independent variables have become very common. So if you are developing your conceptual framework, something which is being developed that you are going to consider it and you want to add your own or something more which is not very common and which is not being done or studied by many of the researchers, and which is not very common and popular, but then you want to show uniqueness, So in that case, you will try to find out, are there any such variables which are going to be helpful so as to add some value to the conceptual framework which is being developed or which is being used for my research work. So in that case, there can be mediating and moderating variables, but then of course both are different. One will try to mediate and one will try to build the strong relationship. It means that if one is being used, then the outcome may change. So you are giving and developing a relationship between dependent and independent variables. But if this is a variable which you are adding is going to create an impact on maybe on that of the association or relation between two, then that was referred as a moderating variables because it is going to bring a change in the outcome. So maybe sometimes some demographic factors also which are used as a moderating variables, which is going to build some, there are two ways which you can take. One is building the relationship more and more stronger, or association between independent and dependent as a more stronger, and then you can have a mediating and then moderating variable where you are trying to put a variable which is going to create an impact on the outcome of that particular association which is going to get created. I usually take a separate session on mediating and moderating, and then how the constructs are developed and how the mediating, moderating variables can be checked whether it is a mediating or moderating, because again it is essential to see the significance which is there, and whether it is with the independent variables, there is a significance of these variables which you want to add it, or whether there is a significance of this variable on the outcome of association. Then in that case, that will determine from the results, statistical results which will be proven between these, that will indicate whether it will be additional as a mediating or moderating variable. And I think the one more question which you have also asked, that was related to the conference proceeding and some papers or some oral discussions which had happened during the conference, which you have written, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what I will suggest is, in case if there are any conference proceedings which have been published on that related to that conference, then you can take it under bibliography as a conference proceeding which have been used for your research work. Or maybe you can also make a mention in the bibliography about the conference, about the details, and then the data which is being being used or which is being developed from that conference. Usually conference proceedings are published and even the reference of that is also being given. And frankly speaking, nowadays even the Scopus index journals, they will also have indexing of some of the conference proceedings, because some of the insights which comes through conference proceedings are also useful, and hence indexing of even the conference proceedings are seen in the Scopus index journals now, so which are considered as a quality journals.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there is...
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Do write a good research paper. Start writing research papers.
Ma'am, there is one more question from Ms. Shivani Mathur. The question is, for bibliography, which is more suitable, Zotero, Mendeley, or MS Word reference tab?
See, the most friendly is Mendeley, according to me, and we use it very common because see, ultimately softwares are many, but how far these are useful for us, and how far we are friendly in using that always matters. But then Mendeley is the common software which is acceptable and hence can be made use of. Even Turnitin I have shown because again it is the most common, popular, and considered as the best one. So I have tried to show, but then that does not mean that you cannot use any other software or any other plagiarism software, or maybe the bibliometric software. You can use others also.
Thank you, ma'am.
The intervention of AI and ChatGPT making its way into research writing, I was just wondering, are there any legitimate tools that are being used by universities to detect AI plagiarism or like AI writing?
Yes, actually, there are no such guidelines which are actually have given in the form of how much percentage is allowed But then if we are using any of the software, that will also indicate the content of which has come from the AI by using the AI. Particularly the Turnitin which I have shown, that will indicate what is the percentage of AI. Other than the regular plagiarized content, that will also indicate how much AI percentage of is there. So by using, and there is also one more tab which is being added, which is showing that there is a flag which will come, a red flag, which will indicate that you have made use of some of the content by using, say, ChatGPT and some other sources, but then you are trying to hide it. So the journals will understand if there is a red flag, then outward there is a desk rejection. I mean, it will not go to the reviewer also. From the desk only, it will automatically, if there is a flag which they will see for your research paper, which is using the say software, and then red flag, it is an indication that there is too much of AI usage, and then that something which is being also hidden and which is not shown in that regard. So if AI is being used and if percentage is less, should not be a problem. But then do not try to hide it. So be transparent that, okay, certain things, sometimes as we always say that some model, something which is always that which we are going to make use of it. It is not that we are going to develop. We are not so intelligent. We are going to make use of it. But be transparent, open, write source, give citation, give bibliography, mention it about the references. That will be a better, even in AI also I'll tell the same, that not to hide. Because in hiding, then the flag will come and that will show that you might have just taken some 10%, but the flag will indicate that there is a rejection. You might have used more than that, and hence it's better to be transparent. Okay, 10% AI, fine. So be authentic and transparent in that regard.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope my slide is visible to all.
Yes, yes.
As we draw the curtains of our Enriching Research Methodology workshop, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to our speakers, dedicated participants, and the invaluable supporters who have collectively made this past 7 days an enriching, memorable, and unforgettable experience. Our speakers have been the guiding lights of this workshop, sharing their expertise, enriching our understanding of research methodologies. Their commitment to empowering budding researchers has been truly commendable. A special note of gratitude goes to the Bombay Management Association, that is BMA, for their collective collaborative efforts with MMBGIMS in bringing this workshop to the success. We are thankful to Dr. Kiran Yadav and the entire BMA team for their support. My heartfelt thanks to CA Abhijit Deshmukh, who is a Vice Chairman of the Managing Committee of MMBGIMS, for his steadfast support and guidance throughout the workshop. Foremost, I express my deepest gratitude to our beloved Professor Dr. Vidya Hattangdi for her invaluable support, guidance, profound insights, which has laid the foundation for the success of this workshop. Her dedication to nurturing the next generation of researchers have been both inspiring and motivating. Moving ahead, I would express my gratitude to Dr. C.R. Chauhan, Professor at Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies. Deserves a sincere thanks for his enlightening session on identification of research and formulation. His expertise has provided clarity to our participants, helping them navigate the complexities of research formulation with confidence. We owe gratitude to Dr. S.S. Prasada Rao, who is the Dean of the Center of Teaching and Learning at V School, for his insightful session on research design. His deep understanding of research methodology has equipped our participants with essential tools for structuring their research effectively. Moving ahead, a warm appreciation is extended to Dr. Harmeet Kaur Bhasin, Head of the Commerce Department at St. Andrews College, for her meticulous guidance on questionnaire designing. Her expertise has designed our participants' ability to craft their effective research instruments, ensuring the reliability and the validity of their data. Moving ahead, special thanks to Dr. Rajesh Devasia, an AI consultant, for the comprehensive session on sampling, which has enhanced our understanding of his critical aspect of research methodology. His explanation have made complex concept accessible to all. Further, Dr. Prasad Kulkarni, professor at Father C. Engineering College, deserves our gratitude for his inspiring session on data analytics, that is descriptive and inferential analysis. His expertise in the statistical analysis has empowered our participant to derive meaningful insights from the data, enhancing the quality of the research outcomes. We also extend our thanks to Dr. Smita Jape, professor at VN Bedekar Institute of Management Studies, for her informative session on bibliography. Her guidance on the proper citation and referencing techniques has helped to understand the importance of academic integrity in research. Thank you, ma'am. A special acknowledgement goes to my dedicated team, Ms. Sadia Pugawala, Ms. Namrata Uppal, from students, Ms. Ananya Dandekar, Mr. Taki Sayed, for their commendable support and commitment at every stage of this workshop. The efforts behind the scenes have been instrumental in ensuring the smooth execution of this event. Additional heartfelt thanks are extended to the Maratha Mandir Trust, our chairman, faculties, administrative staff, and the supporting students for their support throughout our endeavors. Lastly, but certainly not least,
before you go, Sabir, before you go to the end, let me thank you. You were the face of you did wonderful anchoring. And one day, Sadia also did the anchoring. But Sabir, you are fabulous. So was Sadia. Thank you very much, because you are the face of the 7 days workshop. You did wonderful anchoring.
Great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations. Congratulations, entire team.
Thank you, ma'am. Lastly, but certainly not least, I extend my profound gratitude to all the 120 participants for your active engagement, insightful questions, and dedication throughout this workshop. You know, the event is not successful because of the speakers, because of the organizers. It is the participants who have made this event a successful, because your continuous support, your enthusiasm, your support throughout assessment, listening to us, following our instructions has made this event successful. Your enthusiasm and thirst for the knowledge have been the driving force behind the success of this event. I thank each and every one of you for your invaluable contribution and participation. So I would request, we have started a journey on the 21st, and today we have completed 7 days workshop. It is all because of the team who have supported us. I would request some of the participants, it will be a pleasure that some of the participants can unmute and share their feedbacks and valuable inputs about the workshop. Please switch on your camera and share your feedback. That will be much more helpful for us. Yes, ma'am. So, Surabi, ma'am, you can.
Good afternoon to all the esteemed members here. Hello, ma'am. I would really like to thank everybody here. The major thing which I'm really surprised is everybody who has given their knowledge. They're so knowledgeable. I never knew that there are so much of insights in the research area, and so much of technicality, so much of nitty-gritties, and so much of tools are available. I come from educational background. Now I'm with corporates, and things have really moved so much. I'm an ex-BGIMS student, so things have really moved so fast in the area, and the people are so experienced, and they have tremendous knowledge in the area, and with such humble backgrounds, and with the way they teach, the way they handle, it's really commendable. I've not seen a single emotion of frustration on any of the speakers. They were so nice, humble, down to earth, and ready to answer, ready to share. And one of the professors also shared कि मैं ये knowledge कहाँ लेके जाऊँगा. I want to give it all to the people. And like, where do we get such kind of people nowadays, where they want to give it all to their students and to the researchers? Thank you so much. It was such a lovely session, 7-day workshop, and meeting everybody so gracious and knowledgeable here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? We are getting so many feedbacks in the chat box. I would love that if someone could, enable the camera and speak as on the mic.
Good afternoon, one and all. Myself Ritu, and I am pursuing a PhD in title from Mumbai University. I really appreciate to all the team and speakers, and I would like to thank each and everyone. And Sabir sir, especially for you, very thankful for arrange the session. And Vidya madam, it's a special thanks for your valuable guidance and most comfortable all participants with you. And all speakers are more and most knowledgeable. And I wish like to next time if you are conducting the session, we will definitely attend. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Everyone. Okay.
Anyone else would like to share?
Yes, Abir sir, Dr. Salim Khan.
Yes, sir.
A very good afternoon to one and all. I am Dr. Salim Khan from Parul University, Baroda. I am from the Faculty of Law. Though law merges with each and every faculty, I will say, be it social science, management, engineering, medicine, everywhere, you will find law prevailing everywhere. I saw a blend of mixture of cross research over here in this. Maybe my words may sound as jargons, but that's what I did find, Sabir. Special thanks to Vidya madam. Your first lecture that you delivered, ma'am, the introduction one. Okay, it gave me many much insight. Just to share my bit of my some learning from here. In one of the session, I shared one of my experience where I took my students to the Y20 conference in Mumbai. And when they came back, one of them was enthusiastic to do something in Y20. We asked them that in Y20 there is a concept of Chaupal. You can go and you can impart people the knowledge about the Y20, why it is, and some goals of Y20. This child took a lead in and across the city of Baroda. He went to all the schools and colleges. In a month, he went to 111 institutions, and we helped him enter his name into Guinness Book of World Record. So today, one of my students holds a Guinness Book of World Record of having the highest number of Chaupal. So many more things can be taken from the 7 days of deliberation that have happened over here, especially the blend of technology and the innovations. Thank you very much, Vidya madam and Sabir sir, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Anyone else? We'll take more too with respect to this.
Calypso wants to say.
Yes, Calypso, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. You can hear me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
My name is Keletso. I am from Botswana. I just want to take this time to thank you for giving me the exposure. I've been there throughout the 7 days. To me, it was like a classroom setup. I've learned a lot, and I really want to thank ma'am for all the opportunities that she gives me through the university. I really appreciate, and I'll always be part of the structure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the classroom you gave me for the past 7 days. It was a bit challenging because of time difference, but I had to be up every day by 6 a.m. to be part of the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
so
Rupali.
The last one.
Rupali, unmute.
Ma'am,
Rupali,
can I speak in Marathi language?
Yes, ma'am. That's completely fine.
Absolutely.
Ma'am, yes. Ma'am, thank you so much. because my background is Marathi medium. माझं पूर्ण शिक्षण मराठी मीडियम मधनच झालेलं आहे आणि आता मी PhD साठी ऍडमिशन घेतलंय मुंबई युनिव्हर्सिटी मधनच आणि आमच्यासाठी तर खूप म्हणजे मराठी मीडियमच्या मुलांसाठी खूप टास्क आहे मोठी ही कारण पूर्ण नॉलेज मिळत नाही कुठेच पण इंग्लिश मधनं आम्ही खूप छान पद्धतीने हे सगळं समजून घेतलं या वर्कशॉप मधनं जे कुठेच एवढं नाही मिळालं नॉलेज कारण आर्ट्स बॅकग्राऊंड असल्यामुळे एवढं डीप नॉलेज या वर्कशॉप मधनं मिळालंय खरंच खूप खूप धन्यवाद आणि फर्स्ट डेचं जे वर्कशॉप मध्ये सेशन विद्या मॅमचं जे झालं त्याच दिवशी मला समजलं होतं की हे वर्कशॉप खूप छान होणार आहे कारण मॅडमचं एक्सप्लेनेशन मेथड मला खूप आवडली आणि सर्वच गेस्ट खूप नॉलेजेबल खूप नॉलेज आहे त्यांच्याकडे आणि खूप नॉलेज घेतलं आम्ही यात त्यामुळे खूप खूप धन्यवाद थँक्यू मॅम
गॉड ब्लेस यू गॉड ब्लेस यू Sabir,
yes ma'am,
close down.
okay ma'am. So I thank each and every one of you for your invaluable contribution and participation. As we bid farewell to this workshop, we eagerly anticipate the opportunity to reconvene at the future events, continuing our journey of learning and exploration together. So participants, soon we will be coming up with another workshop, and I and my entire team of MMBGIMS will be very happy to see you all again being connected with us.
Sabir,
thank you so much.
Sabir, we want topics from the participants on what topics they would like to have the workshops, future workshops.
Yes, ma'am. So
thank you
participants,
very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
So participants, it's 12:30. We'll be continuing this. We'll be sending the assessment link today by 1:30 p.m. So in that link, you have to fill up the form. Please note that today we are gathering feedbacks also. So we will not be having any time limit for that. But by 5 p.m. we'll be closing the link. There is also an option given to you in that feedback form that you can suggest the topics on which you want us to conduct the further sessions. Please suggest the topics on which you want sessions to be conducted. We'll get a good speakers and like the speakers which we have right now, same speakers like that. Okay, so thank you everyone. So as for the last time, as we do it every time, and this is for the last time, let's switch on the mic, let's switch on the camera, and let's take a group photo together for the last time. Request all the participants to please switch on the cameras. Okay, let's go ahead. Everyone. So we are taking the selfies. Please keep smiling. There are 4 to 5 windows which we have to enable.
Cheers.
My entire team.
Come here fast.
We have Namrata ma'am. We have Sadia ma'am. Namrata ma'am. Ananya. And our student Saki. So we'll have a group photo. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So we end the session here. Thank you.